Excellent. Good afternoon, people. How are we? It's been a very busy day here. Want to thank Andy Young for hosting me here. I left Free Vin up for a little while because he's going around there doing about 600 things at once. He's very good at that. I'm not. So thank you very much, Andy. So I think we're all writing in chat boxes and spreading out messages on Facebook and everything else. And so what we're going to do is sort of give you an update and let people know sort of what's going on. I'm in the dark as much as everybody else, and we're getting drip-fed bits and pieces as it comes through. So just to free Vin up, and I think it's necessary that we broadcast this live. Nick says I'm very quiet.
Yeah, I've just brought you up a bit there, John. That should be a bit better.
Thank you. How's that, folks? Can you let me know in the chat box? That'd be great. So, anyway, we'll keep going. The situation is, as you can see, or if you haven't known, Claire Knowles was taken to Limerick prison for contempt of court. And Claire's case has been documented now by the Irish Times. And just to let you know also that in the court today, there are a lot of people there from People's Internet Radio. There's people there from the Land League. There are people there from all the groupings, what I can gather. Land League, New Land League, PIR, all sorts of people, which is absolutely fantastic. I'd like to thank all of those people for being there, which is very important. And so the Skype there is in for Andy's Skype number if anybody wants to call in later and add to this discussion. If there's any updates ongoing, Vin can come in and can have a chat with us about them. So that's about the situation at the moment, folks. As you can see, when she was brought to the court today, they wouldn't allow Ben to speak for her. And to me, that's the usual, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get her to purge her contempt. Now, if she purges her contempt of the court, that also gives way for them to go through with the order of repossession or possession of her home. So it's a double thing. So that's why it's very difficult for her to just purge her contempt, and it puts her in an invidious position. And now, as you can see, that the courts are already putting her in a further invidious position by not letting Ben or anybody else speak for her. Now, I've had experience of this before with Ben in another case where shopkeeper was jailed for contempt as well, and we went into the High Court, and when they took Jerry out, they wouldn't allow anybody to speak for him. They just want people to purge their contempt. That is a way for the case not to go ahead or for it to be teased out. My take on it is that they're afraid of this because they know that there has been a case of the whole thing being void, because in the circuit court possession was granted under the rateable value thing. Now she's appealed that, so essentially that should be a void possession order, and the appeal was granted. Not only that, but the Master of the High Court had said that, the sheriff, or if anybody called to the house, that they could get an injunction, and then some other judge tried to rule over that, So this is the situation we're in. This is a huge case, I think, folks. And number one, our best wishes are with Claire and anybody who's in that situation. And we have to give thanks for Ben and everybody there that's trying to do their best to help her. I don't know what would happen if these guys weren't around. So it's imperative. It just shows how important it is that everybody gets involved and does something about things, And everybody can't be there and everybody can't be here. So, but it's taken legs. As I say, all the mainstream media are in the courts as well. RTE, TV3, whoever else. So they're going to get their hands on it as well. The Irish Times did an article on it yesterday. I haven't quite got it here, but I put it up last night. You can check that out. So there's a lot at stake, a lot at play, and unfortunately 2 weeks before Christmas, Claire, as she went back into her home, she's now out of her home again and still in the clutches of the prison system. I would say they would probably release her, except whether it's on the conditions that we're hoping for, that's a different matter. So I just thought I'd come on and chat away here about it instead of people, typing into chat boxes and looking at that. So if anybody wants to come on and join me, talk about it, they're very welcome. But we're going to leave it open that if Vin has any news or whatever, he can just jump in. It's been a hectic day, just sitting here in front of the computer, just sharing things and getting attention of the public. I think it's a very important thing for everybody, because it just kind of shows the rigidity of the court system when they want it to be, to me, it seems like that they are shoring up the gates, as it were, and manning the whatever it is, to protect themselves, because we have here a Circuit Court judge being overruled by the Master of the High Court, the Appeals Court, and yet his order still stands as this woman was brought to Limerick prison for trying to go back into her home because the order was void in the first place. So she went to the High Court to prove that the order was void, and they were allowing it. So I think in all fairness, the Circuit Court thing, she just turned up there, but the Circuit thinking, I suppose, that the appeal was going in and that he would put a stay on it till the appeal was sorted out. But he didn't. He went ahead and ignored the High Court decision of the appeal. And I don't know where that leaves us all in legal land, but it just goes to show when they want to, they can shut the doors for people. And people are asking, where is there an upstanding legal representative? They requested a legal representative for Claire today, and the judge ordered it, or not ordered it, but asked, said he wouldn't hear it unless there was somebody from the bar representing Claire, which again is another ruse to prevent any sort of case being heard about anything, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know whether they can do that or not, because I thought under habeas corpus, anybody can walk into a court and demand that the body of anybody who's been imprisoned unlawfully. Habeas corpus is that facility where anybody can walk into any court and demand a judge to look into the case. So now they've already obfuscated that process and stalled it and everything else, and poor Claire has had to spend time in prison, and then coming up from Limerick, it's a couple of hours journey, folks, and then she was brought into, I think, the Bridewell, or possibly the Bridewell, which is next door to the High Courts, and so for her the tension is mounting all the time. I just hope that she can withstand all this pressure, but I suppose she's getting some sort of comfort from the fact of all those people that are there. And there should be thousands of people there, but there isn't. But there you go. But there are quite a lot of people, and a lot of people who are there are the ones who are fighting this sort of thing in their own way or different ways, other than what we say here on People's Internet Radio, which is fine. But it just goes to show that people are willing and they want to help and they want to do it. And I think they don't want, in the courts, they don't want to touch the Constitution, the Article 40.5. But it's another lesson for us to learn, because if somebody goes into the courts and starts talking about their house, home or property, it just gives them and the courts an out to bring it down a side road where unless you say, let's say for instance, unless you mention dwelling and only go in there under the dwelling, which is in the Constitution, if you call it anything else, they can divert it and do what they like, it seems to me. But on the subject of the legal representative, isn't it very strange how not one, all those people that are in there, let's say, and all those people here on People's Internet Radio, Andy coming on, hosting me, people from across the water, people from America, talking about this, people all over the country Facebooking each other and sending messages and sharing all these posts, all disgusted and very upset about what's happening to Claire Knowles. And yet, not one person from the legal fraternity has the guts or even the will to stand up and say, here, I'll look after this, or I will do this, or I will do that. I find that very, very strange. They're running for cover and leaving it up to the ordinary people of the country to do something about it. There's something really, really strange going on there, folks. It isn't right. It doesn't seem right because it isn't right. I know we had Sherry on Sunday with Vin, which was absolutely brilliant show, teasing out the official offer and its merits and all those other things. And one thing when I was listening to Sherry and she was answering questions and stuff like that, it struck me that whilst it's all supposed to be the same legal system, she was actually physically shocked by what she was hearing, or she was amazed at what she was hearing that was happening in the courts here in Ireland. And she wouldn't know what's going on over there because she's so far away, and that's only natural. And suggestions of what she was suggesting to do in various cases is what has been happening, but people are being blocked at every corner and every time they go to do something by this rigid establishment who are not there to help anybody in this situation, but seem to be always working for the banks. And not only that, but apparently there's a security company now after taking over her home. She did go back into her home, and anyway, they came in and took her out of it. I don't know the exact details there. And the security company has gone in and changed the locks and everything else. So they all pre-planned this and they know what they're doing. And there seems to be a nod and a wink somewhere along the way going on here, folks, because when we want to get access to it or undo something, we're finding it very, very difficult, and with the best will in the world. So that's what I have to say at the moment. Apparently she's in court and she's been surrounded by 4 guards. Would you believe that? Now, I don't know what they expect her to do. Or do you think that she's going to do a runner or something, And if somebody wrote a movie about this or put it on a TV thing where somebody was taken into court for, the judge said that she was brazen and she was in contempt of court. And so you can go to jail for being brazen, which is absolutely incredible. You can't write this stuff. If you did produce it in a film or put it in a film, I don't think people would believe it. It's something like out of Frank Kafka book, or 1984, and all the worst nightmares are coming true, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, well, John, it's just occurred to me there's quite a few parallels here with the Tom Crawford case, which we had over in the UK. Because after Tom's house was stolen off him, they got a load of security guards in there, and they were really trashing the house. Unfortunately, the things are, I think Tom was accused of trying to assault a police officer, but he's been cleared of that in the court now. But I don't know any more information than that on where Tom is, other than I'm pretty sure he hasn't got his house back yet.
Yeah, well, the very fact, even if everything was kosher, let's say, and they were 100% correct, having some security firm in your home with all your belongings and everything, because you've been taken away into prison, I think I find that disgusting, It wouldn't be tolerated in any other sense, it's just not right. How those guys do their job is beyond me. I'd rather not work if I had to do that kind of stuff. But
it seems that they're getting a lot of new immigrants into the country who don't really have their loyalties in the local community, and that's how they're doing it over here. I don't know if that's the same with you, John.
I couldn't be sure, but there's probably a certain amount of that going on. Yeah. When you think about it, it's a clever move by these so-called security firm employers to employ people who are coming in who were drastic in dreadful need of an income, you know. And they may not be able to get anything from the state, and they may have to get a job, and this is, I don't know. On the other hand, you could have the argument that some of these guys are ex-military coming out, because I know from security on the rail system here in Dublin, I know some of them who were, say, military in Bosnia and stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably very likely what you're saying, which is all part, I think, of some other form of thinking, because what we say on people's internet radio and everybody trying to find out what the truth is, all these things have been mooted 2 and 3 years ago, have been discussed as to what happens when various things happen. It goes on a roll, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, the security guards are possibly, as you know, over in the UK, G4S or G-Force, it's looking likely that they're going to become the new police force over there, or at least some guys, you know.
Yeah, well, our county is now the police force has now been run by G4S, as far as I'm aware. That's Lincolnshire, over on the east coast.
Mm-hmm. They're actually running it.
Yeah, we got a TV presenter off, I think it was ITV Local News, got elected police and crime commissioner. So he's obviously going to be quite steerable and pliable for whatever agenda they want him there for. And then soon after he's elected, it turns out they've got G4S taking over the administration and running of the force.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. So they're doing it by stealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see, what happens here happens there. And what happens there happens here, you know. And the way I see it is there's the people of each nation, and there's the system of each nation. And the majority of the people are not part of the decision-making processes in any shape, make or form, and big business is taking over the decisions and plying the politicians, who most of the politicians wouldn't have an idea or any good solution or even a good idea for a business probably. So they rely on outside intelligence, let's say, or thinking on that sort of stuff. And then they bring it in under the guise of, this will be good for our county, and look at I'm a great politician, and it goes around and around and around, and then when they leave, they vote in other people, and the other people probably don't care about that, or they might want to go to war, you know, particularly in the UK. And the people in the UK are prone to these decisions, whether they like it or not, you know. Mm-hmm. And just like in all these situations, you know, we blame, you know, the British for this, we blame the Syrians for this, we blame the Americans, and we blame this, but it's not the people, you know. It's not the people of UK, it's not the people of Syria, it's not the people of America.
No.
It's all these other people making these decisions, and that's why when you give your vote, you don't know where that vote is going to go or what that person's thinking in their heart or their mind when they get into that position of power. And it's looking very likely that, to me, it's very dangerous to actually use your vote nowadays, and that's why I'm so dead against it, because nothing good seems to come of it, except more taxes and the possibility of your children, and particularly if I was living in the UK, I would be very scared that my children would be conscripted into the army to go and fight somewhere, because some politician who was never going to fight there or never going to send their children into those war zones or anything to do all that sort of stuff, you know. And the same in America and all these other countries that have armies and go to war. It's absolutely incredible. So I think we have to absolutely get on the ball here and join hands, as it were, from people from different countries to change things, you know.
Yeah,
so it looks like,
John, we had a general election here this year when David Cameron got back in I prefer to call it a general selection because I've never managed to find one single person who's admitted for voting for Cameron yet. But I thought long and hard about what to do. I've got a friend who said he was going to turn up at the polling station with his own little box and tell people to vote for none of the above and put them in his box. Now, I thought that was an interesting idea, but what I actually did, I went to the polling station, got my polling card, and then took it home. So I've now got proof that I did not consent to any of this.
Yeah. I was just thinking actually the other night, you know the way they have a moratorium on election day itself?
Uh-huh.
I wonder, does that include anybody going outside the polling stations who are not in a political party, are not going up for election, and protesting about certain things that are going on, you know? Because I can see it happening. I can see that it's coming to that stage. Over here, everybody's protesting about all sorts of things. Unfortunately, there's too many protests about too many things. So what happens is we get a situation with Claire at this point, and people are either against water meters or against this or against that or against this, and yet we have this situation prevailing. We can get 100,000 people in Ireland to march when it comes to an issue where they might have to actually pay some money, which I think is at the kernel of it, the protesting. Although they're correct, I stand with them in anti-water charges, you know. But when somebody's losing their homes and the legal system is not helping them, people tend to ignore it unless it's happening to someone that they know, you know. So it's a mindset that we have to change. But thankfully today, looking on Facebook and all the posts that Vin was putting up, he put up at one stage that he needed another pair of hands. I concur with that. So when these situations happen, folks, we need everybody's hands on board, you know. Grist to the mill, is that what the saying was?
Yeah, that's the one. I know this is a little bit off topic, John, but I'd just like to jump in there because we've had a bit of an up and down week this week, and a good friend of Enemy Within and PIR, Jason Holmes, has took a turn for the worst and he's ended up in a hospital. But he's just messaged me to say he's listening in, so I'd like to say get well soon and rest up, Jason, and we'll get you back on as soon as you're fit and well, mate.
Cool, yeah. Good, I hope he's okay, yeah?
Well, he's messaging me he got bored stiff in the hospital and they've let him go home, so that's a good sign, yeah.
Yeah, good. And he's listening in.
Mm-hmm.
That may have perked him up a bit.
I do hope so.
I think you can't beat live radio for perking people up and getting people's attention. That's what we're all about here, you know.
Yeah.
The latest is that there's still no decision on Claire, so it's been a very long day. It's now 5:20 here in the Free State of Ireland, and they're still in court. So there's a lot of wangling going on in there, and I think the longer this goes on, I suppose, folks, the good side of all this is that when they become this rigid in their assertions against the public or somebody in court, it only opens a can of worms for them ultimately, and it's probably looking likely that with the appeal court going ahead and the other decision, there's no joined up thinking. And I'd say there's a lot of argy-bargy being going on behind the scenes prior to Claire going into the High Court today. What are they protecting? What can we do? If they do one thing, it would set a train in motion for another thing, and all of this sort of thing. Now, when you have the president or the master of the High Court kind of agreeing with what we're saying, or the thinking where the possession of order shouldn't have gone through because of the appeal, there should have been a stay put on it, that is a big no-no. And I'm sure there's plenty of debate going on behind the scenes, And I'd say it's there seems maybe a sort of a constant consternation. I don't know, or maybe they don't care. I don't know. Maybe it's just part of a day's work for these people. And we have to be careful because we're not there. We don't know, but that's what it appears to the public anyway.
Just got a message in from Vin, still waiting to see if she's got bail. Case adjournment till Monday for production of audio from Circuit Case the other day. So that's not looking good, is it? I did notice Nita posted in the chat room a little bit earlier saying that there's no legal definition for the word brazen. So surely the judge is giving a personal opinion there. And what the hell place has that got in a court?
Yeah, well, it's down to the judge at the time, you know. Mm-hmm. They might say, should they call people all sorts of things, pertinent and, impertinent, and I've heard judges saying, you're an impertinent man, and all this kind of thing, you know.
But, John, doesn't that make that what they call a summary judgment? It's just based on his opinion and nothing else.
Yeah, you see, this is what happens if you don't. When we don't have the legal system standing up and saying to a judge, you can't do that or whatever, they do that in the say instances for lay litigants, is what I think. Because, you know, and it's tonsil hockey at best sometimes. And but Ben Gilroy has vast experience in all of this now. So they know that he's a very clever man, and he's very quick and he's very sharp. And he's very amenable in the courts. He doesn't go in there bald-headed and aggressive or anything like that. But I still ask the question, how come it's all left up to Ben Gilroy or any other lay litigant? It just begs the question, why is this happening? So essentially we have a court system where it's not really a court system for the people. And there's an update is that the state is allowing bail for Claire, but she's not allowed near her house. So that's great now, isn't it? So she'll be out and she'll have to stay somewhere else. And this is a nightmare now for this woman, you know. And so there's a lot going on in the background, as you can see. By that, I take it that they have to tease out whether that order is void or not, which is, I'd say, another court case. I don't know whether that will be in the appeals or whether that will be handled now on Monday. But now, essentially, we have security guys living in somebody's home, and she's on bail for being brazen and appealing, using the structure of the courts, using an appeal which you're entitled to, and all the rest of it. But at the same time, this judge has put her into prison for contempt for being brazen and not complying with the court order, even though the appeal was in. How could she comply with the court order when there was an appeal going on? And there is another point here, big issue, that if somebody does go back into their home after they've been taken possession of the home illegally, I would say, is that not a case where the sheriff or whoever has done that has done their job, and to redo it by a security firm going in there, they are redoing that job, and they have no standing legally, as far as I know. How could they have any standing legally to go in and take over somebody else's home? She can't go in and take back her home, but somebody else can come in and take it back and stay there, and she can't. So they're breaking all sorts of constitutional things and all sorts of legal and lawful things. As Ben says, George did not mention the word dwelling in his judgment. No, he wouldn't, because they don't want anybody to use the word dwelling. Because, as I said earlier, I think they steer it away if you use anything else, like home, property, or whatever. It steers it away from the Constitution. And this is why, when we're doing these things, folks, more and more each week as we go along, I'm beginning to think that we have to be so precise and in how we approach these things. A word wrong perhaps can be taken and used against you, even though you might think it's happening. But if we go in there to protect our home when it's using the Constitution, it's kind of like the wrong thing to do. We have to say it's protecting our dwelling, which is a very, very important point, which is coming up more and more as we go along, as the days pass and the weeks pass. But they've gone through a lot of bother to keep this woman away from her home and put her into this condition. I hope that she's all right. I hope that she can stand the pressure. And it seems that human emotions and human feelings and everything else have no place in a court of law, if that's what it actually is. So if anybody would like to come in and say something, I would appreciate it. I don't mind. I don't know how long we're going to be on for. So maybe we have a tune, Tony or Andy. My God, my brain is gone.
Yeah, one of us will put a tune on. I've got I've got one that I thought might be a bit of an appropriate title from Paul Weller. It's called The Changing Man. We'll be back in a bit. And we're back. You there still, John?
Oh, sorry. I'm just reading the chat box. Thanks very much, Andy. That's brilliant.
No worries, mate.
I'm just reading Vin's new release there. Claire has been released, but to where, as far as the judiciary are concerned, she may walk the streets and freeze to death, as they have said she cannot go near her home. Welcome to Ireland. Please have your passport and a bag of cash ready to enter. Madness. Yeah, it's absolute madness is what it is. That's at least she's not in prison, you could say, as the outcome of that. But hopefully, there's no indication as to what will be heard in the court now on Monday. But it means that she'll have to travel back up to Dublin if she goes back to Cork, or I don't know what her circumstances are. So she's now a displaced person, and effectively she is actually homeless. And that's the situation that the banks and the judiciary have put her into. Whilst there is an appeal going on in the High Courts as to the validity of the possession order that was given in the Circuit Court, and there's arguments between the Master of the High Court and the Circuit Court and the High Court, the judges. So there's an awful lot happening, and an awful lot can be hinging on this case for Claire. And our thoughts are with her, of course. That's the first thing. I think that's a given. So effectively, what date is the 10th? It's Human Rights Day, apparently, as well, in the world. And we have a lovely woman, by all accounts. I've never met a woman, but everybody has only good to say about her. She's a fighter. She's a woman who stands up for people and helps other people. In fact, the other day, while she was in court herself, in the Circuit Court, probably thinking that because of the appeal situations going through, that there would be a stay of execution on the possession order. She was actually going around talking to other people about their cases and trying to point them in the right direction, or to just bolster their spirits and stuff like that. So that's the kind of woman we're talking about here, folks. You know, we're not talking about a criminal. We're not talking about somebody who deliberately decided to get a mortgage and didn't want to pay it, etc., etc. So our lovely banking system has no empathy and has no feelings for anything. They are an entity, a corporation, the whole lot of them, with no feelings. And the gas thing about it is, I suppose, is that you can't bring a corporation to court because they don't exist. So what are we dealing with? What did we think we were dealing with in society? Did we all fell for the banking system, you know, because everything was, you had to go through the bank to pay this, you had to go through the bank to get your wages, you had to go, you know, for security reasons and various things. And everybody happily played along with it, not thinking that there was anything sinister going on behind it. But unfortunately, when we went and signed these so-called contracts, that I've heard from one solicitor, I've said it a million times, that they never even read the contracts anyway. and we think that we're going in and we're being protected and we're being served by these people, and they're on our side, when in fact they're just part of a system, and maybe likely that they're even getting kickbacks from various quarters, like particular banks or maybe auctioneers and valuers and all that sort of things. As to the valuation thing, where the Circuit Court are only allowed to hear cases up to 70,000 or something like that, we have a situation here in Ireland where one judge says that because of the way they work it, they can get, it's not really a valuation because it's a dwelling, and they only do valuations on commercial properties. But they word it in such a way that they make it look like it's a kind of a valuation. One judge has said already that wasn't correct, that it cannot be used, and another judge went against that ruling. So we have judges sort of making things up as they go along. So whereas if there's a situation where one judge disagrees with another judge, surely that must be a case for it to be heard within the legal system, and to see which is right, and perhaps taken to the Supreme Court. But I thought the Master of the High Court was there for that sort of thing. But apparently not, because they seem to be overriding the Master of the High Court, because he seems to want to be in favour of lay litigants or people trying to keep people in their homes. And maybe he's not the flavour of the month in there. Who knows what these people are thinking. So that's the situation we have now on the 10th of December 2015, folks. It's absolutely ghastly. I don't really know what else to say about this. I was hoping that Vin might interject some little bit of knowledge on this, what's happening, and tease some things out. But I think he's still up to his eyes, because there's a lot of phone calls going on in the background between one thing and another. But I will say, haven't seen a video earlier on, and it was good to see some of our compatriots here from People's Internet Radio that I recognise they're in the courts. And as I say, other people from the Land League and the New Land League, Jerry Beads, I think Tom Darcy's in there. Lots of guys who are in and out of the courts on a daily or weekly basis, trying to stop this madness that's going on. That's about it, folks. If anybody wants to call in, Andy's number is there, Skype number is there. If you want to continue this conversation, I just think we're all sickened by the whole thing, you know. And Andy's Skype is, what is it, Andy?
It's Andy_Young _Skype. I'm just putting it in the chat room again.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, we'll see what happens. It's 5:45 now. I have my dinner on as well. It's kind of burning over there, probably.
Okay.
But thanks very much, Andy, for hosting me. I'm just getting some messages here myself, but nothing of import into any further what I've got to say.
And we've just got a caller come in, John. We've got Vin. Good evening, Vin.
Hi, Andy. Hi, John. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Vin. How are you?
Excellent. Okay. Just news update. Yeah, thank you, John. I was listening there and as you say, I've been tweeting and twitting or twatting, or what the hell it is they call it, like mad, and Facebook posting all day, all over the place. So what's happened is the bail, essentially she's on bail. She's not actually she hasn't actually been released. It's a bail situation, which, as far as I'm aware, has never happened in a contempt of court case either. So that's another first, as far as I know, open to correction. I don't think anybody's ever been bailed out from contempt. As far as I know, you can't be. It's seemingly impossible. It's an impossible situation in 10 different directions, because the bank essentially, as far as I can tell, seemed to have interfered with the court process by acting on the home, on the dwelling, essentially, while she was being held in contempt for not voluntarily surrendering the dwelling or the property. So even if they released her for that reason, she attempted to purge contempt, she couldn't. So it's a bizarre situation. It really is. It's bizarre. On top of that, the judge is basically saying she can't go near her home. He didn't mention her dwelling, which of course we know is the word they use in the Constitution for a very, very important reason. Which of course it is the dwelling that is protected, not the home, not your house, not your residence, not your primary family residence, or any of these other legalism and phrases they use. These are legalisms. These are not the correct phrase. She has not been evicted. The home has been repossessed. That is not the same thing. So I have a picture there now of just it's just been sent to me of Claire and Ben. They're outside the court now, so that's marvellous. Look, I'm delighted she's out. But this is till Monday. So, again, being bailed out till Monday, it's bizarre on contempt. It's just, I've never heard anything like this. It's crazy. So
what I was saying earlier on is that they're manning the gates because they know that if they pick any particular thing in this case, it opens a can of worms for them.
Well, let's bear this in mind, okay? The woman lives in Cork, which is the far end of Ireland, folks. We're talking a 250, 300-mile drive, right? So they have now released a grandmother onto the streets of Dublin, as far as the courts are concerned, right? They have just released a grandmother onto the streets of Dublin, 300 miles from where she did live. They don't give her any money. They don't give her any accommodation. They don't give anything like that. They just say, out you go. Now, today is International Human Rights Day. I mean, can you believe that?
It's happening. That's the way it is.
It is now 7 degrees C in Dublin. Precipitation is 45%. That means it's raining. Humidity is 79%. And there's a 24 kilometre an hour wind right now in Dublin. So in theory, they have put, and she's only wearing a light dress and a little kind of light cover over it. So in theory, they have just released a grandmother onto the streets of Dublin with no roof over her head, no money in her pockets as far as they know. They haven't even asked. And she may starve to death for all they care till Monday, because she's to be back in that courtroom on Monday. I mean, have I missed something here, John? Have we shifted into an alternate universe? And for what? For what? Pieces of paper. That's what this is about. Pieces of paper that don't add up, that have a fatal fundamental flaw attached to them, which is usury. It's beyond the beyond. I'm hoping to get a call from Ben soon. Maybe even Claire might be on the line. I don't know. Can't promise anything. If we can, we will. I don't want anybody to give up on this. I don't want everybody to think, okay, that's it. Okay, she's released. Everybody needs to keep retweeting free Claire, hashtag free Claire Knowles, because she's still not free. She's out, but she's not free.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to ring and email newspapers, everybody, radio stations, mainstream media. As bad as it is, we have to keep ringing them. Email all the newspapers, local newspapers. This needs to get out there. So far on the posts that I've put up on Facebook here and there, I think there's about 90,000 hits altogether on this single issue. That's 90,000 people in Ireland, mostly. Which is huge. So this is now officially the biggest issue in Ireland, and there are no reports in the mainstream media at all that I can see from today. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. 96 FM in Cork did have a story on Claire this morning. So fair play to the guys down at 96 FM in Cork, fair play to them. But other than that, I don't think that was anyone else.
Yeah, well, of course, it was taken off the front pages yesterday by the Claire Daly and Mick Wallace scenario. Not saying that it was deliberate, but who knows? So a lot of people are going down that road, and to me that Claire Knowles, I think all the water protesters and everybody else should get behind Claire Knowles and do the water protesting next week or the week after, whenever they want to do it. And everybody I'm sure a lot of them feel the way we feel. There's no doubt about it.
See, there's another slight issue here as well, John. There's another, inverted commas, injustice. That Claire had somebody who was living under that roof. It was an independent individual. I won't say who it was,
right.
But they too have been blocked from entering their dwelling, because that was their dwelling too. Now, I don't know whether there was a private arrangement between Claire and the individual, but either way, there was no eviction order for them.
Mm.
And yet they are being blocked. Members of An Garda Síochána seemingly are down at Claire's dwelling now. And there are security men inside her dwelling. Think of that. They are now inside her dwelling with all her personal belongings. They are free to rifle through all her private stuff.
Yeah.
And she has been just released onto the streets of Dublin, nearly 300 miles away from her home. An elderly, well, she's not that elderly. I mean, she's a glamorous granny. I don't think she'd mind me saying that. But you couldn't make this up if you tried, John. You just couldn't. I mean, what do you think of that?
The fact that you're saying now that the Gardaí are outside protecting the security guys inside somebody else's home.
On behalf of the bank.
On behalf of the bank. That's incredible. That's...
Who were bailed out by Claire's money, apparently.
Yeah. Welcome to Ireland 2015, folks.
Yeah, welcome to Ireland on International Human Rights Day. Please have a bag of cash for your nearest politician handy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Don't get Mark Farrell started.
You know, particularly if you want planning permission, John, you know, to build a house that they're going to evict you from eventually.
Possibly, yeah. But that's easy to do, apparently, is get all these planning permissions. But it's very difficult to uphold the Constitution.
Well, I think what will happen, John, is I'd like to see as many people as possible in the Phoenix Park, maybe not this weekend, but maybe the following weekend, to do a symbolic, peaceful eviction of the President Higgins of the Royal Oireachtas. I think that's what should happen. A symbolic eviction. They should bring a little Wendy house and a little effigy and evict them. Let them know.
Do you not think people should be looking at the example of what was done in Iceland a few years ago, Vin? Because
that's going to be something that's going to come up more than likely, Andy, because, you know, we have to be aware also, the system are pushing the people. They want us to cause trouble on the streets because there's an anniversary for the 1916 Rising coming up, for example, in 2016, right? So they're trying to push every way they can. They want us to get violent. That's why it's absolutely essential not one of us ever gets violent. Ever. That's essential, folks. They will rip this country apart. They are just waiting for any excuse to put Euro Robocop onto the streets of Dublin. Armed Euro Robocop, I might add. Armed to the teeth. And they are just waiting. I mean, my feeling is, and I've said this in the past, that some form of a false flag is going to be performed in Ireland. Probably before Christmas. Probably. So they can, shock everybody into just laying down and taking whatever crap they throw at them next year. They wanted to go like Paris, like New York, 9/11, like Paris with the shootings recently, just like London 7/7. They need something in Ireland. They want to put the shackles on everybody. And this is what they're going to do, in my opinion.
And do you think that there might be cause for thinking that they're doing all this sort of stuff deliberately?
Well, look at what happened when Simon Coveney came back from the Bilderberg meeting where he was out pleasantly strolling with Peter Sutherland. All of a sudden, he's Minister for Defence, they say. He seems to have forgotten that he's in charge of a defence force and not an actual a military office that has a war office. There is no war office in Ireland. We are not neutral because we've declared neutrality. We are neutral because we only have a defence force. We are not allowed to attack anybody. We cannot go to war. We can only defend ourselves. That's what a defence force is. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden then Coveney comes back from that, and then there military weapons being tested in Ireland for Israel. There are purchases of all this riot gear. The minister before him, I think, bought all this riot gear from Israel for the so-called guardians of the peace, the Garda Síochána. So the Robocop gear is there. The weapons are being brought in here and tested. Well, I think 1 + 1 = 2 when I were a lad, John.
Sure. Under the guise of somebody in a lowly judge, let's say, in a circuit court, inciting anger in people. by actually doing the wrong thing deliberately.
Well, here's the thing I'd say. Look, we the people are not going to see Claire on the streets starving. Of course we're not. We're going to look after her. All of us will. So, there's no need to get angry in this regard, folks, in that sense. Don't get incensed to the point where you might do something silly. That won't help. Education is the only thing that will help. Letting people know this situation is out there and that we can do something about it peacefully and passively. Everybody stands there, hands down by their side, passively. Nothing they can do. Nothing. You must raise your hand for them to beat you. If we do not do that, they cannot do anything. It is the only way. It is the only way. But we must educate each other. Let each other know.
Yeah, but you can see how frustrated we get. But I don't plant anybody or encourage anybody to use any sort of violence.
No, well, they're purposely, frustrating. That's what they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I think, Claire's situation, as I said, there's a number of things. A void order, an appeal, no stay on the execution of the order while an appeal is going on. Surely that doesn't happen in any other situation. I've never heard of that happening. Have you?
Check case law. I can't find anything like this anywhere. This is straight out of left field. Nobody could see this one coming.
Yeah. And it seems that the judiciary itself is incapable of reining in somebody if they need to be. It seems that some judges' decision...
They are capable. They're choosing not to. Let's be honest. There's a choice being made here.
Well, that's what it looks like, yeah. I'm trying to be kind.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too, but the amount of effort that they went into today to prevent Ben Gilroy, who brought the action of habeas corpus, and then they're trying to prevent him talking on her behalf.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Madness.
Absolutely. Well, that happened in Jerry's case as well.
Just give me a sec, sorry, phone.
Yeah. That happened in Jerry's case, as I was saying earlier on, where they wouldn't let Ben speak. That was 2 or 3 years ago now, I think.
Hold on. John, I've Ben Gilroy on the phone here. Can you hear him?
Walk away.
Okay, Ben, go ahead. Everybody can hear you now on the radio.
Okay, just an update from the court today. Claire Knowles has been released on bail pending the determination of this habeas corpus matter. It'll resume at 3 o'clock on Monday. The state, on behalf of the governor of Limerick Prison, fought hard to step aside in the blame game, and I thought that the judge was going to allow that. In fact, he didn't. He said that there's a duty on the governor to prove to the court that she's validly held, and he's not letting him off the hook. He said that's the test for the governor, and so far he's failed in the test. So he's not even letting the governor off, because there has been a huge miscarriage of justice in this case, and there will be serious issues come Monday at 3 o'clock. So I suggest anybody who can make the court on Monday at 3 o'clock in Court 24 now should really attend.
So, okay, am I right in thinking, Ben, that they've released Claire from custody on a bail with conditions that she's not to go near her home? Is that correct?
That's right, not within 100 yards of her home. But that's okay. She asked that, there's trespassers in her house at the minute. She asked that they be removed. He said, look, this order is in your favour, so you can't look for conditions with it. But in fairness to the judge, she was right about that. It all comes down to
did they say whether those trespassers would still be there, or were they going to leave? Was that clarified?
They didn't say, but I think they're going to go anyway. But look,
right.
It'll just be best if nobody goes near her house or whatever, because when you're fighting it again on Monday, you just need to make sure we take care of that. So
that sounds sensible and reasonable.
Yeah.
But in theory, as I say, though, did they release her with no money in her pockets? Basically, that as far as the judiciary is concerned, they just released her to come back Monday, 300 miles away from her actual home, onto the streets, essentially.
Yeah, well, no, they asked for. He said he has a difficulty in giving her bail with no fixed abode. So he said that's the only difficulty the court has. So she gave her son's address, which is only around the corner from the house. She said she couldn't determine if it was 100 yards or less, but she thinks it's over 100 yards. But in any event, that's the house she's going to stay at. So the court accepted that she could stay there. So the prison officers, in fairness fairness to them, were very nice. Asked her if she wanted a lift back, to get her a taxi. But she has family there who are taking her back. They returned some monies and clothes to her. They brought it to the court just in case she would be released. And it was nice to see, there was a female prison officer. It was nice to see Claire and the prison officer give each other a little hug and a kiss. And, you know, she just said, I hope I never see you again in the professional capacity.
Well, you know what? That's just because Claire's such a wonderful woman.
That's nice.
Imagine that. Look, that's heartbreaking. She actually gave the prison officer a hug.
That, like, you know, very rare.
Wow.
It was a nice touch in the courtroom, in fairness, like, you know.
And still, my heart is still breaking, Ben. My heart is absolutely still breaking for what's coming.
I just keep saying to Claire, look, all you have to think about, the only sound you need to hear is that, like a cash register, because that's now happening.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, John.
Why would it be the onus be on the governor of the prison to prove that he was holding her lawfully?
Because that's what the Constitution says. The Constitution says when you bring a habeas corpus motion, it's up to the governor to say he's holding her lawfully.
Exactly.
On the foot of the order, it looked good. Now, normally that's good enough because, you know, there is prima facie evidence. An order looks good unless there's some really big fault that you can see at the document. But the judge didn't sort of accept that because he said, well, Mr. Gilroy's put in his affidavit that it's ICS Building Society, and he's put in a legal notice from the PRA, which means it's public knowledge that ICS no longer exists. So he says, I'm not accepting that the governor can just walk away from this one.
Wow.
Interesting. Yep. You said there, your checkbook. But look, it's still horrific that a woman of our years who's dedicated her life to helping other people and...
That's right, but it's good in the sense that the governor of any prison now around the country won't be too keen to accept if they're left liable here. And that's why this could be a really historic good case in the sense that if the governor's found liable, he'll be checking every warrant he gets in future, and because normally he could step aside and say, well, it's the bank's fault.
Yeah, he'll be doing his due diligence next time, I can assure you.
Yeah, so it's a really, really interesting case, you know.
Okay, so look, she's okay. That's the main thing. I was worried sick about it, to be honest.
She's great now, as you know. And there was a great crowd. There must have been over 100 people in the court.
Brilliant.
You know, well over 100 people.
Will 1,000 fit in there on Monday?
She got the bail. Yeah, so 3 o'clock Monday.
Will 1,000 people fit in on Monday?
It'll be struggle, but we might get her up to a bigger courtroom then.
Right. What about the 10,000 that'll be outside?
Yeah, well, that would be great, you know.
Well, that's what's needed. I mean, I've just looked at it.
Claire is tweeting at number 2 all over Ireland at hashtag Free Claire Knowles or something like that.
Yeah, I've been doing it as well. Hashtag Free Claire Knowles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's tweeting at number 2 now all over Ireland. So this is great. You know, really.
Well, on top of that, I mean, today is December the 10th is International Human Rights Day, Ben. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and if I'd known that, because the judge stopped me talking in the habeas corpus motion. Now, we had about an hour or 2 argument about this, because he allowed me to argue the points.
Right.
But I said, you know, under Article 6, she's right to a fair hearing. She's traumatised from prison. She's a granny. She doesn't know what my application is based on. It was my affidavit sworn to facts within my knowledge. How does she know?
Yeah, she wouldn't have a clue.
So he heard it, but we have to appeal that decision because you can't water down habeas corpus. You know, habeas corpus is a very old writ, and you know the courts are always trying to water it down.
Always.
So I think it's important we appeal that.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's where we're at. So it's all good.
Okay, well listen.
But we've kept our powder dry.
Absolutely.
Why? The bank's out here, and we'll continue to keep our powder dry. And
just from your own observations, was there a lot of barristers hovering around, keeping a close eye on this one?
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Now, what was extraordinary was when I was given the application before Claire arrived in prison, I was on my feet for about an hour, and they said that it was extraordinary that the bank barristers followed me around the courts like a dog in heat all day yesterday, but yet today they couldn't be found. Right. And then only when the judge indicated that it's strange they're not here did they appear then about 3 o'clock.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So they were basically leaving the governor with it. So this is the first time I've actually seen this sort of happen. Well, normally the governor's legal team come in and the state's legal team, and they normally point at the bank and say, look, this is your mess.
Well, this is clearly the biggest news story in Ireland right now. Clearly. And there's not a sign of it on the mainstream media anywhere, as far as I can tell. But they were all there, right? I mean...
Oh, they were all there. Yeah.
How many cameras and TV crews did you see there today? Or do you want to throw some names at us? Because we can keep an eye on our website today, and we can send them emails. How come you have no story on this? You had a cameraman there.
Yeah, there's about 2 TV camera crews there, and then a lot of media and journalists. So we'll just see. But look, they're only out at the court. I'm only out now too. So in fairness to them, they may not have had much time to do anything because there was no story to tell until the decision was made there only a couple of minutes ago. So you're getting the first update. You're the exclusive here, Ben.
Fair play. Appreciate that. Also, look, you go have a cup of tea and a nice sandwich or something like that, same with Claire. And if you want, give me a ring later on.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right, cheers, Ben. Fair play to you.
Okay,
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ben.
There you go, folks. Exclusive to PIR. Straight out of the gates. Wow, what do you make of that, John?
Part of what I was saying earlier on, just in my guesswork, that they're opening a can of worms for themselves, every action that they take. And as Ben is saying, he's keeping his powder dry, which is a very good way to go at this point in time. And there are a lot of questions. So we have a circuit court judge overriding an appeal on a void order that's going through an appeal, sentencing her to prison for contempt, and then the legal system walking away from that and leaving it, lumbering it with the governor of the prison to unravel the whole thing, while the barristers for the banks were tailing Ben yesterday and disappeared today. They didn't want to get involved until the judge mentioned them, and the word got out that, and they were there for 3 o'clock. They're always there, always there.
Of course.
It just goes to show.
It seems probably a little harsh then, maybe, on the system and what way they released her. But in other cases, they have done just that. Just they open the door and say, "Right, you're free. Out you go."
Yeah.
But the fact that you see, that just shows you what Claire Knowles is like. She gave the prison warden a hug. Do you know what I mean? Like, does that not tell you everything you need to know about Claire Knowles?
Well, after all, she's not a criminal, she's had to spend time in jail because of dodgy dealings in courts, basically. Would that be correct?
Yeah. It's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. I'm just checking, anybody see anything on any of the news sites yet? Can people just keep, while we're talking here, just keep poking around on any of the news sites and see if there's anything being reported? They should be able to report on their websites. I mean,
well, it's funny how they can report from Galway when there's a bit of bad weather.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and that report goes viral of an over-the-top description of high winds and a bit of rain, and the girl was frantic. But they were able to get a team up there over to Galway, filming her doing that and all the rest of it. And but they can't just have somebody outside to give an update on what's happening for a 1 or 2 minute insert into the news. And possibly one of the most important things in legal land that has happened this week, or for months or maybe years, because there's so many questions to be asked. And they will be asked, I'm sure they will be asked. And I can see it unravelling as the days go on. But this is the way they operate when they want to shore up legislation to suit whatever. That's what they do. But it sounds like the judge, according to Ben, I can get a gist of it, that the judge, you didn't say it was a he or she, was a man. Yeah, well, it seems like as if he was doing his best to unravel the situation in a way that was benefit to Claire in some sense. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wasn't there, but that's what it seems like.
Entirely agree with that, but almost. Right? And I'm saying this because, my levels of frustration today were just, I ran out of fingernails, folks. We need actually fingernail clippings or something as donations. My fingers are worn down to the knuckles here.
Well, I was getting so tense sitting here waiting on word and looking at them, going from Facebook to this, back to the site, but, sharing stuff and all the rest of it. I said, right, I think it's time we went live and sort it out, and I feel better for doing that.
Well, I appreciate it because it's made a hell of a difference.
It's very frustrating, and I'm sure everybody who was sharing the tweets, sharing the Facebook, everything that was being put up by Vin, it's after garnering a lot of support, and then of course even from across the water, Mr. Andy Young kindly hosting me to do this.
Well, just want to say then that I just checked the PayPal donations. A little donation came in. Well, a couple of little donations came in there, but one came in from a listener to the radio here tonight. I won't say who they are. I don't know if they want their name out there, so I won't say it for the moment. But they said they're friends with Andy, Enemy Within there on the chat. So thank you very much for that, and I'll see that donation gets to Claire.
Excellent. Yeah, that's just goes to show, folks.
If you want to send a donation in, please use the button. You can make a note who you want the donation to go to and what it's for, okay?
Sure.
So
we've been requesting donations for law books, so I suppose we can get that in there now, since we're on law subject.
If people want to give us a happy Christmas in the official offer research team. Excuse my French. Happy Christmas reading phone books would be more exciting.
We don't exactly have a huge research team or people who are willing to troll through legalese. It's a specific task for specific people, and we're lucky that we have some people doing that, and it's very appreciative from me anyway. So it is important that we have all the necessary tools available to counteract stuff that's going on, and as we're all learning as we go along, and each week things are kind of unraveling, as I say, bit by bit, but today was a particularly tense day for everybody. It's frustrating that you can't be there, and if you are there...
Just so you know, while all this was going on today, I had a chap here, God love him, I owe him an apology, but he was here with me since 11 a.m. today. He's in court tomorrow, and he has a serious issue. Well, I was trying to help him out with all of those issues today. While this is all going on, I think you were involved in one of the calls there, you were talking to him as well. Obi was here with me today, another guy from the PIR research team. There's, it's been a crazy, crazy day. It really has. But I'm absolutely parched, John. I need to go get a cuppa. I need to just kind of shake this off and relax and just kind of gather me thoughts for a second.
I think we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
We'll call it a day on it.
We now need everybody who knows about this to we need to be relentless about this issue. I sent some messages to Richie Allen. He said he'd try and cover this on Monday night as well. He's asked for Ben to come on and join him on the radio over there, on the Richie Allen show, so that'd be brilliant if we can swing that as well. Okay, I need to go get a cup of tea or I'm going to pass out.
Well, excellent work again, Ben. On the sort of cost downside, it just goes to show that we need everybody's involvement in all of these things. So if anybody's out there listening and in the chat who feels that they can get involved when stuff happens like this, or at any other stage when there's nothing other happening, get involved. Help out as much as you can. You'll be surprised. The help is always welcome. And keep the radio going and keep everything going. And I think we can do this, folks. And that's what it's all about. It's about people power, if you want to use the word power. But it's about people. It doesn't matter where you're from, what colour, what creed, or whatever. It's about people and the issues of the day that are happening on the ground in almost every country in the world at this point in time. So, thanks very much, Vin, for coming on. Thanks very much, Andy.
Just there, somebody's asking what court in Dublin. Yeah, the High Court in Dublin, Court 24, Monday, 3 p.m.
I say there'll be a few people now reiterating that now between now and Monday. So, that's all good.
Yeah.
So it's time to have a cup of tea. Andy, thank you very much again.
No, you're welcome, mate. I'd just like to say add a little something to that, John. I have had a message to say who the donation came from, and I'd just like to give a big, big thank you to all the massive support we've received from listeners since joined PIR and before, but we've got some very special people supporting us and helping us out at Enemy Within. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of them. Thank you very much.
Fair play. Well said, Andy.
Well
right,
said.
I can tea before I drop dead, folks. I'm going to pass out peacefully here.
Okay, folks.
Well, what I'll probably do is I'll stay on and play a few tunes, save everyone from the loop, and just keep everybody on the boil till Nick comes along.
Excellent.
Sorry. Just Boko Clark is asking the chat what happened with the other eviction. There was another eviction apparently that was planned today in Lusk. As far as I know, nothing happened there, folks. Sorry, I was having difficulty keeping everybody updated on what was going on with Claire, but I was also keeping a very close eye on that too. And as far as I know, nobody showed up, so that's okay for today anyway.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. So, but thanks for reminding me for that, Boko.
No worries. If we're all done, then I'll put some music on.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Andy.
Great idea. Thank you very much again, Andy. And thanks everybody for listening. And if everybody wants to just ring the networks, the mainstream media, and keep that up there in the air and keep it going. Don't be afraid to send them emails or ring them or phone them or do all that sort of stuff. Get active is the thing. If you can't be in a place, and everybody can't be, every little helps, and we can change things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd just like to say, if this hasn't placed the chill in your heart, maybe you should go and get checked up, see if you've still got one. And with that, I'll hand you all over to Annie Lennox. Bye. Excellent. For now. Bye, John.
Take care, folks.